And I wish you all the best. It's your happiness that matters most of all.
In country music, too, Chicanos were making an impact. Led by Freddie Fender, born Valdemar Huerta in a tiny Texas town near the Mexican border.
I'll be there before next teardrop falls. Si te quiere de verdad.
With two #1 songs in 1975, the easygoing Fender had become a darling of television variety shows after nearly 2 decades of battling discrimination and his own demons. Before Freddie Fender, Mexican Americans had been pretty much ignored by national television.
It was 1959. I started recording when I had a song going, but I got busted in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for smoking grass.
And let's show it this time.
And the song was had just gotten into the charts.
Oh.
And I had just gotten into the prison.
Clink, yeah.
So the song had, I mean, they could not promote me.
No. It's hard to have you go out and talk to all the DJs. They just couldn't speak.
How long were you in jail? They gave me 5 years anyway.
What?
5 years.
5 years?
For a handful.
Of what?
And it was mostly
It was
siege.
Texas, right? It wasn't even...
Ay, nena, vamos a bailar. Muy juntito para vacilar, hey, hey.
Before being imprisoned at age 23, as much for consorting with a married Anglo woman as for possessing marijuana, Valdemar Huerta had begun to make a name for himself in South Texas, recording Spanish versions of rock and roll hits.
At a radio station, they started calling him El Bebop Kid because that's what he enjoyed, you know. That's what he loved, was rock and roll. That's who he was, El Bebop Kid.
Y a tu mamá, tu papá, que no sabes cuándo volverás, hey, hey. Oh, yeah.
Bent on reaching the English language market, El Bebop Kid used various names before settling on Freddie Fender, a name he appropriated from his guitar.
Wasted days and wasted nights I have left for you behind.
In 1959, Fender recorded a song in English that he'd written about his own troubled love life.
To someone else.
My mother tells me that he was at a club, as he always was at clubs, you know, and I guess he was feeling blue and down again, and he wrote that song in the toilet on some toilet paper, you know, and he wanted to name it Lonely Days and Lonely Nights, but a lot of songs were already, you know, titled that, you know, so that's how it came to be, Wasted Days and Wasted Nights.
That song would win Freddie Fender a gold record years later when he re-recorded it with a new arrangement. But at the time, he scrambled just to get it played on local radio and sang it night after night in dingy dives around Texas and Louisiana.
The police, you know, would always have to come almost every night, you know, barroom fights, and it was just wild, and they just loved it, you know, and you know, and my dad always said, if you didn't have a weapon, they'd give you one at the front door.
His arrest dashed any hopes of quick national success. He bounced around for the next dozen years, doing all manner of odd jobs, from picking cotton to washing cars.
When it rains, it really pours.
I was in Corpus Christi getting my car washed, and I hear this guy singing, washing my car.
Lots of clouds are everywhere.
I said, hell, that's Freddie Fender, man. I need to meet him bad, you know? And that's when I walked back there. I said, you Freddie Fender? He said, yeah. I said, Freddie, what are you doing washing damn cars, man? He said, well, I'm got too poncy, you know, and they said, I'm getting too old. So I said, you ain't never gonna get that old. He says, here's my card. You want to record? Come to Houston. We'll get busy.
If he brings you happiness.
I remember when I went to see Baltimore, first signed him up, him and his wife were living in what they call a chicken coop. It was a real chicken coop. They had bunks and beds and then he had 2 or 3 kids. And that's where he lived at. He was dirt poor. Now, I mean dirt poor. Still was segregated. It was still, down on Mexican. You know, it'd been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, and I think we just broke the meter when we brought Freddie and broke him pop, you know? And they had to like him whether they liked him or not. Yeah, I sold every country artist that was growing. I got the producer of the year, and you got the artist of the year in Nashville, and they hated to give it to us, but they had to. Had too many sales.
My darling.
And he knew the sufferings of people. And I think that's why he opened up people's hearts. And when they heard his music, they opened up their wounds and their hearts. And they mended, almost like they were mending or going back to their lives and understanding their sufferings through Freddie's music. And Freddie was just trying to tell him in his music that it's okay.
Between 1974 and 1983, Freddie Fender had 21 songs on the country music charts, many with Spanish lyrics. He'd made Mexican-American music impossible to ignore, paving the way for a new generation of Chicano artists.
My love.
During the 1980s, a band from East Los Angeles readily crossed cultural borders with their music, ignoring barriers of language and race. They called themselves Los Lobos, the Wolves. They'd been young rockers from East LA's Garfield High in the 1970s, when the Chicano movement inspired them to put their electric guitars on the shelf and explore their musical roots.
The Mexican music was always available, but, being young kids growing up on rock and roll, we didn't really care about it too much. But as Chicano cultural renaissance started to take hold, it fed into the notion of us playing traditional music.
We're doing it just for fun, in our backyards, and just kind of learning old Mexican songs, just as a hobby, really. And that's how it all started.
Chicanos somos señores.
We found these instruments in pawn shops and secondhand stores, and we didn't know what they were. And then we sought out local musicians, Mexican nationals, who played this music in restaurants and bars. And we sought them out to find out, how the heck do you play this thing? How do you tune it?
My brother-in-law took me to a party, and he had an accordion in his closet. He used to take it home. And so I took it home and started fooling around. And we worked our way around to conjunto music or Tex-Mex.
Por mi madre yo soy mexicano, por destino soy americano, yo soy de la raza de oro, yo soy Mexico-americano.
We started buying records. I had Los Alegres de Terran records, and then Dave started, getting Flaco Jimenez records. It was like learning all over again, It was going to school again, going like, wow, Flaco Jimenez.
Leonardo Jimenez, known as Flaco, the skinny one, began playing conjunto accordion as a child in the 1940s. he has almost single-handedly repopularized this style of Tex-Mex music, recording with everyone from Dwight Yoakam and Bob Dylan to the Rolling Stones.
My dad, Santiago Jimenez, and Mr. Narciso Martinez were, considered the pioneers of this kind of Tex-Mex sound, that oompa sound. The settlers from Germany settled around the Texas area. They brought this kind of music, that polka music. Then came my dad in 1936 with Narciso Martinez, were the first ones that introduced this Tex-Mex sound, the accordion sound. It was just instrumentals, no lyrics, or just polka or waltzes. But then my dad managed to put lyrics on the same beat, but with lyrics.
Cada vez que cae la tarde, miro y miro para allá. Para hacerte una ceñita sin que mire tu mamá.
The first recordings were made in the 1930s, you know.
They would record just with the accordion by itself, and the accompaniment part was this.
The bass
lines
lines,
of the accordion,
yeah.
which will sound.
You know.
So then the bajo sexto comes in, and it's this instrument here is a 12-string bass rhythmed instrument. So it kind of took that sound there, the accompaniment part of the accordion, and they incorporated it with the
So
bajo.
it's like the brother of the accordion.
So now that same song he just did, that was a kind of a oompa sound, German sound. So now with the bajo sexto, it would sound.
Back when I first started, I recorded in some garage studio way out there in the outskirts of town, you know. Started recording and some chicken just passed by, you just kicking and started keep on playing, you know.
Chicano, soy chicano y me gusta hacer las cosas a mi modo. Que yo soy de tercera, pero yo soy de primera, con orgullo yo soy México tejano.
There was no kind of respect for this kind of music, you know. It was just like, that's cantina music, that's whatever, you know. Then around 1955, rock and roll came along. So I got interested in rock and roll, plus, you know, the blues.
Flaco can blend into just about any kind of music there is. Rock and roll, blues, country.
The key to my heart you hold in your hand, and nothing else matters.